Good afternoon, this is Aribisala, wife of Ondo State Governor Program organized for women in the Southern Senatorial District of the state. Government House correspondent Omori Olangbeji reports that the one-month training established by Mrs. Betty Ainyawa Keredolu was in collaboration with Foundation for Wives of Ondo State Officials for
This initiative is dear to her as she believes in women's economical fortification.
Mental attitude that is needed for entrepreneurial success as you securely acquire the skills so that you begin to make mental plans as how to gain a share.
Research and documentation. Temitope Daniel, who spoke on the overview of the project, said 100 participants will benefit from this year's training, which is
PSC. So this event is a total package because at the end of the 1 month, individual trainee will be given certificates. They will be certified and also empowered hugely to begin their own businesses.
Administrative Director, Ileoluji Okeigbo Local Government Area, Yemisi Omoloja, represented by Gbemisola Iyotan, wants the participants to see the training as an opportunity to attain greatness.
To be focused, it is just 30 days.
Balanced diet for empowerment that will benefit society if properly utilized.
It is complete nonsense.
You are going to be given later on. Look at the issue of the training you are coming here for. Once you are being trained, it becomes part and parcel of your life.
At the end of the training, I'll be capacitated.
Digbo, Okitipupa, Irele, Ilaje, and Eseodo local government areas of Ondo State are camped for the training in Ileoluji community for the next 1 month. Omori Olangbeji, Osrc News.
The Ondo State House of Assembly has written a fresh letter to the state's Chief Judge, Justice Olusegun Odushola, to constitute a panel to investigate the allegations of gross misconduct against the Deputy Governor, Mr. Lucky Aiyedatiwa. In a letter signed by the Speaker, Mr. Olamide Oladiji, the House said the impeachment process resumed after the expiration of the ex parte order of the Federal High Court. This development came about a week after the House announced the suspension of the impeachment process following the intervention of the national leadership of the All Progressives Congress, APC, in Abuja. President Bola Tinubu has affirmed that the student loan scheme he approved on June 12, 2023 will kick off in January 2024. He also promised that episodes of industrial action by academic staff unions of tertiary institutions would become a thing of the past. Tinubu said this when he declared open the 29th session of the annual Nigeria Economic Summit in Abuja. The president elaborated on his administration's plan to stabilize the economy through the collaboration of all stakeholders, especially the private sector, noted the need to immediately initiate a sustainable credit scheme. Meanwhile, the Minister of Education, Dr. Tahir Maman, said the students' loan would be administered by the Central Bank of Nigeria through the loan board. According to him, each student will get the earlier announced 500,000 naira. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, says Nigeria is expecting $10 billion worth of foreign exchange in the relative near future. Mr. Edun said this during the panel session of the Nigeria Economic Summit in Abuja. Over the past 4 months, the Naira has depreciated by over 50% at both the authorized and unauthorized market segments after the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, announced in June the collapsed all forex windows into the investors and exporters window. The move, according to the Apex Bank, is part of the Nigerian government's effort to improve liquidity and stability in the market and attract foreign investors into the Nigerian economy. The minister explained that President Tinubu has signed an executive order that effectively allows under forbearance all the cash that is in the domestic economy to legally come into the formal money supply. Although the policy was widely applauded as well-intentioned and necessary, it has put additional pressure on the local currency and manufacturers, with ripple effects on domestic prices. The Nigerian Association of Liquefied Petroleum Gas Marketers has accused terminal operators of incessantly increasing the price of gas, exploiting and limiting its availability to Nigerians. The marketers, led by the association's president, Oladapo Latubosu, on Monday, told the Senate that the Nigerian natural liquefied gas has been consistent with its supply, but the cabals have disrupted the availability of gas to Nigerians. Olatubosu labeled some of the marketers as the cabals who were buying the product cheaply from the source and selling it at a very high price to them. He explained that the gas is sold by these terminal owners for 16.8 million naira for 20 metric tons, whereas NLG sells them to them for a little bit less than 9 million naira. The marketers allege that the terminal operators usually state forex as one of the reasons for the increase in the prices of gas, whereas the transaction was done purely in naira. The marketers further warned that if measures were not taken to adequately address these issues by December, 12.5 kg gas would sell for 25,000 naira. And now to the foreign scene, two elderly women, Yochevt Lifshitz and Nuret Koper, have been released by Hamas and handed to the International Red Cross, but their husbands are still being held. It brings the number of hostages released by Hamas to 4. Kemisola Jomu has the details.
Freedom for two elderly women taken hostage by Hamas after more than a fortnight of fear. The militant groups released this video yesterday evening, showing 85-year-old Yochevt Lifshitz and Nuret Koper, who is 79, being led to safety, flanked by gunmen, their vulnerability all too clear. There is relief as the women are handed to members of the International Red Cross, but this nightmare isn't over. Both of their husbands are still being held captive inside Gaza.
We are excited, happy and thrilled from this official announcement, and that my grandmother and Nuret Koper, both from Kibbutz Nir Oz, are coming back to us in a real humanitarian move.
Hamas took more than 200 people captive, including babies, in a deadly attack on Israel that triggered this war. The latest release, mediated with help from Gaza and Egypt, came 3 days after two American women were also freed. A hostage on the Hamas side exclusively said all will be allowed home if the right conditions were met.
All crossing points should be open, aid should be allowed to enter, the Gaza should be provided with water, electricity, supplies, medical. If this happened and there's a ceasefire, we will come back to the big question, what was the root cause of what happened? We will say it's the occupation.
The United States has advised Israel to delay a ground invasion into Gaza to allow more for hostage negotiations. Unclear if Israel leaders are listening as their troops mass at the border.
We should have a ceasefire, not a ceasefire, we should have those hostages released, and then we can talk.
It means for the missing and their families, this feels like a race against time. Kemisola Jomu, Osrc News.
Still on the Israel-Gaza war, Iranian Foreign Minister Amir Abdullahian has said Palestinian groups in Gaza are acting out on their own and without any direction from Iran. The Iranian minister sent a direct message to US President Joe Biden asking, is this hypocrisy? Do the massacres, the bombing of civilians and the destruction of hospitals align with your slogans? The foreign minister said that the United States has been sending messages back and forth through a third party to Iran, urging to show self-restraint and asking the Iranians to advise the groups in the region to do the same.
Today the region is a powder keg. The US security establishment is directing the war in occupied Palestine. The Zionist regime is suffering internal collapse. I talked to Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov, and we are consulting with China as well, that a resolution against the interests of Palestinians will not be adopted at the UN Security Council. Palestinian resistance groups say they're ready for a long military conflict. They said Israel targets civilians, including women and children. The US has sent messages to Lebanon's Hezbollah asking not to open a new front in the conflict. We've received messages asking us to practice restraint and also asked us to invite others to show restraint, but the US over the past 2 weeks has been sending military equipment to Israel. So how can they say they don't want the expansion of war? Now I'm saying to Biden, stop your hypocrisy.
To more stories now. Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Ahmed Al Thani has urged the international community not to grant Israel an unconditional green light to continue committing atrocity against Palestinians in its fight against Hamas, in what he called a dangerous escalation that threatens global security. Sheikh Tamim said Israel should not be allowed to cut off water, medicine and food supplies as a weapon. He reiterated a call for an immediate ceasefire after bloodshed that has crossed every line and threaten regional security.
We say enough. Israel should not be given an unconditional green light for killing, and we cannot ignore the occupation and the siege. We cannot accept in this day and age to allow using water, food, and medicine to be used as a weapon against an entire people. We are callers of peace, and we adhere to the international resolutions and the Arab Peace Initiative. We reject the killing of all civilians from any side, but we do not accept the double standards and to act as if the lives of Palestinian children do not count or matter. What is happening is very dangerous, and it violates all laws and religions.
The Met Office has issued a new yellow weather warning which could lead to further flooding in the East Midlands, including Nottinghamshire and Lincolnshire, as well as much of Yorkshire. Reports from Redford in Nottinghamshire, where residents are already suffering from the floods over the weekend. Wahab Bankole has details.
These were people's garden and all now consumed by flood water. The residents of one side of that road in Redford took a battering from Storm Babbitt, and today they told those in authority exactly how they feel.
How they feel.
It will be again.
Yeah, but I have to fork out and I have to do all the hard work. We have to do all the hard work because that is us. It's all on us. We want it all on you now. You've got to do it.
It is not surprising. Lucy Rose is angry. She can't live in her home until repairs are carried out on the ground floor, which was covered in water.
It doesn't feel like my home anymore, but who'd want to buy this and risk this? We're in a hotel for now, but at the moment, just tonight, don't know after tonight.
This street is no stranger to flooding. Many living here say they are trapped, unable to sell homes that come with such big risks down the road. Roy Crompton was building a house for his artistic son.
This front bit where he could go and chill out, you know, when he has a meltdown and that, somewhere he could just be himself like and watch telly and that in there, but it's not going to happen now. If this is something that's going to keep happening, it's not worth it.
It is clear where those living here lay the blame.
Between 2015 and 2021, we've invested £2.6 billion in flood defences right across the country. That was over 300,000 homes. We're partway through a programme of spending a further £5.2 billion over a 6-year time period.
Residents say they've been promised £120 in compensation. They feel it's another completely inadequate measure. People here say the local authorities should have given them sandbags to help protect them. They didn't get that, but this house did try with those sacks of building sands, which of course was no match for the water when it came flooding into the street. This storm has been fatal in Scotland. A body has been found after a man became trapped in his vehicle, and 56-year-old John Gillian has been named as another victim of Babbitt, killed after a tree struck his van in August. Back in Redford, with last case of land still flooded, they are preparing for even more rainfall. A Met Office yellow warning in place. This community is fearful and crying out for help. Wahab Bankole. Osrc News.
A cabinet official says President Ferdinand Marcos is taking the latest incident in the West Philippine Sea, where a Chinese vessel collided with Philippine boats, very seriously. Defense Secretary Gilbert Teodoro said this in a palace briefing. Teodoro further said that the highest level of government is giving serious weight to the incident, following what it calls a false narrative of China.
President is, well, that's it. He's taking this very, very seriously, so much so that he called the Special Command Conference this morning. And if you will read the statement, the highest levels of government are giving serious weight to this incident, given the false narrative of China, given the more egregious and aggressive behavior that they display, and given that we cannot take this or tolerate this kind of action or take it lightly, or neither take it lightly nor tolerate it.
And that's the world at noon. Thanks for watching. I'm Sahira Bisala.